Hi everyone, welcome to Things Lucy Reads. I'm Luce, and this was supposed to be a reading vlog for the Finish-a-thon, but when I was checking my footage, all I have is one single clip of me talking about having finished a book that I didn't really enjoy the process of reading very much. That's all I have, so it's not really a vlog because I only have that one clip. I'm going to insert that here, and then at the end I will tell you about the other book that I read for this readathon. I don't know why it looks like I have smudged mascara all the time. I promise you that I don't. It's just the dark circles. But it looks like raccoon eyes. Anyway, I have just finished Ancients. Finally. And oh my god. I have never been this disappointed or bored by a book in recent memory. In my Goodreads review that I just wrote, I said, you know how Return of the King and Battle of Five Armies have like 45 minutes too many of gratuitous and probably unnecessary battle scenes? This is the book version of that. For the last half of the book, which is roughly 150 pages, there was like at least 15 fight scenes with guards. And all of the guards were human, they all had the same weapons, they all had the same tactics, so reading 15 of these scenes was just a constant slog because they were all the same and they all went for like 5 pages. I don't care, like just say, I don't need to know the minutiae of this battle, just say they fought the guards, they win, and they moved on. Like, the plot moved so slowly, and I've now forgotten things that happened at the beginning, because in the first half of the book, it was just 150 pages of walking through the same set of stone tunnels, which, by the way, they went through again in the second half of the book, in the space of like 3 pages. It took us 150 pages the first time, but the second time it only took us 3. Explain that. And it was like, oh, they go through these tunnels and they meet some skeletons and they fight them, and then they go through these tunnels and they meet some rats and they fight those, and then they meet some more skeletons and they fight those, and then they meet some skeletons and some rats and they fight those, and then they ended up in prison, and then it was just, they meet some guards and they fight those, and they try to escape and they meet some guards and they fight those, and they meet some more guards and they fight those, and they meet some more guards and they fight those, and I'm so fucking tired of reading about them fighting guards. And I want to read the rest of the series because I want to read a high fantasy series with unapologetically queer main characters, and based on D&D would be even better, but it's so boring. It was so boring because it was just endless fights with guards and not enough plot movement and not enough exposition, and the character Elise was a cleric, which is not the word they used in the narrative. They called her a conscript, but she was a cleric, and she was like not super religious, and she was questioning her faith, and that could have been a really interesting thing, especially since the driving force of this narrative is a quest bestowed on her by her goddess. But she was questioning her faith, and that could have been such an interesting angle to take, but they didn't do it, and I am sort of hoping that it happens in later books, but whether or not I read those to find out is up in the air. Because it took me like 15 months to get through this book. Like, I don't want to sit here and badmouth the authors, and I think that this is their first book and that the others will be better. And I'm pretty sure that the authors themselves are queer, and quite often, like, their main characters are queer. But this book was just average at best. One down, and thank the fucking Lord for that. Okay, so that was how I felt about Ancients. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it's the author's, like, first book, and I'm also fairly certain that it was like a fictional adaptation of a D&D campaign one or both of them played at some point, because that's exactly how it read. Like, it was just constant encounters with low-level enemies and occasionally a higher level enemy, and you could see the places in it where like something really conveniently went their way in a whole chapter of things going really terribly for them, and that was you could sort of be like, ah yes, this was the point where someone rolled a nat 20. So that part of it was enjoyable, but ultimately it was just so repetitive, and honestly I found it really boring. I did also read a fair chunk of Howard's End is on the Landing by Susan Hill, which I didn't finish for this readathon. I finished it during the MS readathon. I enjoyed it at the time that I was reading, but Susan Hill has since signed a letter in support of J.K. Rowling and her terrible, terrible views. So I have put Susan Hill in the metaphorical bin, and I want nothing more to do with her or anything she has ever written. If you think that trans people aren't people and they don't deserve to live as their truth, then you can fuck off and go fuck yourself. And so can Susan Hill, Ian McEwan, and Lionel Shriver, and John Boyne, and every other fucking person who signed that fucking letter. So many of these authors were people that I had enjoyed their work, but apparently they hate me, so I'm gonna hate them right back because that's what they deserve. So unfortunately this readathon was a little bit of a bust for me, but it will probably happen again, and not all readathons are successes. That's fine. These things happen, and it's been a pretty shit year all up in general, so you know, compared to everything else, failing at this readathon doesn't really matter. So that was my readathon experience. If you did this readathon and you would like to tell me how you went, feel free to do that. Leave me a comment down below. If you just want to let me know that you were here, feel free to drop an emoji, anyone that you like. And yeah, that's all I have for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye everyone.